This might be controversial, but I obviously don't care. I always tell my potential partners, if I ever get pregnant with a son, I'm returning it to the sender.
Oh my gosh, you're having a baby? Is it a girl or an abortion?
Are you pro-choice? Girl, no. I'm pro-abortion. Delete them babies.
In China, you had the one-child policy where they would abort girls or abandon them. In India, 6.8 million fewer girls being born. In Western society, you have a group of feminists now claiming that women should no longer birth boys and abort them instead.
Baby boys are going out of fashion. For most of history, parents have wanted sons, as they traditionally inherited the family's name and its wealth. But in recent years, the spice for boys has dramatically decreased in developing countries, and in the rich world, people are even starting to prefer daughters. If you leave it up to nature, there are roughly 105 male births for every 100 female ones. In the rich world, there's evidence of an emerging preference for girls. In South Korea, for example, the share of women who felt it necessary to have a son plunged from 48% in 1985 to 6% in 2003. At the moment, there's little evidence this new bias has led to the widespread abortion of boys.
Is sex-selective abortion illegal in Western society? In Canada, it is not. Whilst in the United States, depending on which state you live in, you may be able to do it and may not. Whilst in the UK and most of Europe, it is broadly illegal, which opens up the conversation about women and their body and their rights and their choice, and how far radical feminists are wanting to take sex-selective abortions in this society.
First time, possibly in history, women are admitting they want daughters, not sons. Having a son is seen as an extreme burden to women around the world. You are expected to birth them, educate them, and shield them from conditioning from other boys. All this without acknowledgement. In fact, that very same son may grow up to take his mother's rights away. Women globally are reaching a line of contention, refusing to give birth to life that may become a weapon against them, against other women. This is why movements like 4B exist. Women are refusing to birth their own oppressors. In fact, they are liberating themselves from a life of suffering. Sons are no longer the standard. Daughters are.
There are women that are talking about right now, if they get pregnant, they're either going to have a girl or an abortion. And if men wanted women to continue birthing sons, then maybe they would step it up. Right? You want to continue increasing the population and having male children brought into this world. They need strong male role models. They need men to teach them how to respect women. They need men to teach them and to model for them what love looks like. And that's the very core of all of this, is that when you hate a woman so much that you degrade her and dehumanize her and reduce her down to nothing more than unpaid labor, you are missing out on the most important part, which is love.
And you guys will come back at me saying things like, oh no, we could just not have boy children, as in we abort our boy sons. And while I think this is an option for us if the future is female, I don't think it gets to the root issue, which is the fact that we have a system that incentivizes men to be trash. The patriarchy literally incentivizes and rewards men for poor, piss behavior, violence, dominance, aggression. If we as women held power, we would be able to incentivize men to be generous, kind, well-spoken, good listeners. Do you see why it's so important as women that we have the ability to obtain and hold resources? Because if we get to set the rules of the game, all of a sudden the standards are for what benefit us, not for what harm us. The patriarchy rewards men for being harmful to the environment, being harmful to women, being harmful to children. But as us women grow, now that we have the ability to have our own bank accounts, hold our own property, we can build power and then incentivize and create a new generation of men. Men that have the ability to do things that benefit us, that work in our power. And while, yes, we know that the Y chromosome is shrinking, and we know that women are being preferred in first world countries, I think that it's more important for us as women today to realize how we can create a better group of men, which is by having higher standards and holding power. obtaining resources that give us the ability to move the chess pieces in our favor. So ask yourself, are the men in my life a part of the bottom 90% of men or the top 10%? You should be asking yourself that question every day and then choose accordingly whether or not you want these men to be in your life.
What about your views on gender selection, saying that if it's the wrong gender, not your choice, you can abort the baby?
Well, let me say, right, my view on it is that it should always be down to the woman to make the decision for herself, because she will live with that decision. Now, you may disagree with the reasons, I may disagree with the reasons, but both of us can walk away at the end of the day. She is going to live with it. And so that's why,
It is definitely more prominent in the first world society that females are preferring to have girls over boys and even are willing to abort their male fetuses. A lot of their talking points is based off fear, how they will be able to raise the next young man that women would hate.
I don't want to have kids because it's a 50-50 chance that I can have a son, and I don't want to go through that.
Guys, hot take, but my biggest fear, one of my biggest fears in life and why I'm not gonna have kids, because I'm terrified of having a son. I talk to my friends about this all the time. It's that is so scary. I feel like I've seen it with so many boys. You'll raise them up the right way, they're in the right household, they're on the right path. And the second, and they get to middle school, high schoolish, and they start hanging around with the wrong crowd, everything you taught them, out the window. Matter of fact, I watched it happen with my own two eyes to my brothers, and it's just that's so scary. No, if I have a son, honestly, if my son was gay, I'd probably jump for joy. We
can actually make just female babies. So all I'm saying is that we should abort all male fetuses. If you ever get an abortion, the only way it's acceptable is if it's a male fetus, you can abort it.
Being a boy mom would literally ruin my life. Here are some reasons why. This is something I've thought about a lot, so there's a whole list. Number one being that the phrase boy mom sounds like a lifelong hostage situation. I'm good. Next we have, I know my parenting can only do so much before their male peers, the internet, porn, and other uncontrollable influences get to them, and my sweet son is suddenly debating whether women deserve rights by the age of 15. Having a son would feel like taking too much of a gamble. Every woman knows a man that has traumatized her, and all of these men were someone's baby, and mothers swear up and down their sons would never, but statistically, that's just not true. It seems like a lot of work with very little return on your investment. At least daughters are known to maintain emotional closeness in an actual relationship once they no longer technically need you. I don't trust society with my unborn son. Schools socialize boys differently. Male friend groups normalize misogyny, and male cruelty is rewarded. If I'm worried about generational healing, I would rather do that through having a daughter than trying to convince a boy to value women in a world that'll relentlessly teach him not to. Womanhood is already consumed with servicing men, trying to manage their emotions and egos and keeping ourselves safe from them. I don't want my experience with motherhood to be tied to that as well. I don't want to give birth to someone that will one day benefit from my oppression.
Call me too woke, I don't care. If I got pregnant and I found out it was a boy, termination, abortion, out of there immediately. And no, I will not be elaborating or explaining the choice. My choice.
I made a video a couple months ago about how I would get an abortion if I found out I was pregnant with a boy. And that video is still getting so much traction from the incels. And I just think it's so funny because I would still delete the male fetus. You can be mad, but the male fetus would still be deleted. And that's why.
It's interesting to hear that females actually believe the world would be a better place if there was less men, when in actuality, that world would be a whole lot worse. As we can see, females are very destructive, very conniving, very vile, and will do anything to get their way.
But it actually makes my eye twitch when I see men saying this, because what do you mean? What do you mean? None of you had an issue when it was all the girls being aborted, but all of a sudden it's a problem when it's the boys? And the thing is that it's not like you learned from that mistake. It's not like the men care. The only reason they care now is because they have no one to partner with in the countries that did that. And you know what's wild? The world would be a less violent place if it had been the other way around. But are you willing to acknowledge that part? Probably not.
Oh, weird having a son. Like, you're just like living with this random guy. And it's like, what common interest would me and my son have besides like my boobs? Like, I wouldn't know what to talk to him about or like how to bond. I'd be like, do you want to breastfeed? Like, Mom, I'm 32. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not gonna watch the game with you. So either drink up or get out. I don't know.
If I have kids, I don't want a boy. I feel like I have a fear of having a boy, and he acts like the dudes that I've had encounters with, and he's just weird. Like, I'm watching this Jervius Butts case, and I'm just like, all these men are so sex driven, and it makes them do weird stuff, and it's only so much you can do as a parent, you know? Like, it's only so much you can do. When they 30, 40, 25, like, they doing what they want to do, you know? And I'm just scared of if I have a boy, like, oh, Lord, please don't have a boy. If I have a boy, he gonna be like that, like, where my hug at type, and like, oh, like, assault type. That's my biggest fear. Like, I really don't want a son. Like, I really don't want a son. And I feel like everybody popping out sons, and I don't want no son. I want no girl. All girls. I only want girls now because I can't do it. Like, I would be so disgusted knowing that my son, somebody that I brought into this world, is causing havoc, ruining girls' lives and doing weird stuff, you know? And I'll never be the type to defend it. Hey, you do something crazy, you going to jail. You going to jail. I ain't no innocent till proven guilty. No. If she's saying that and it's very clear that she's telling the truth, but you going to jail.
Feminists will be the first ones to complain when a man who gave you your rights will take it back. It's interesting hearing all of these talking points that these feminists hold when it comes to sex-selective abortion. The whole structure and their ideology behind it is never to be equal to a man. When feminists state these type of statements, they're actually lying. The cause was never to be equal to a man, it was to always compete with a man. It was always to overpower a man. That's why they want to raise a new generation of men. They want men to be docile, to be weak, to be intimidated so they can overpower them. This whole concept of sex-selective abortion is really a feminist way of trying to create the new matriarchy in the future. It sounds like it's a whole conspiracy, but this is the conspiracy they are conspiring when they use these talking points when it comes to sex-selective abortions.